Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the very good introduction and the very good welcome that we got from the General Director of the Rosatom. And we are here now having a big panel and also a long row of experts. So I will soon introduce to you the strong forum we have. We are 19 people coming from 15 countries and 4 international organizations, only to take part in this plenary and say something. So it will be short answers from each one. All answers are 2 minutes. Otherwise, the 18 people here will not be able to talk at the end. So, we live in a world with growing ambitions. Currently, more than half the world's population does not have access to reliable electricity supplies. Globally, the population is expected to grow from the current 7 billion to around 9 billion by 2050. In combination, these billions of people of today and tomorrow will create a growing demand for electricity to be able to have a decent life, quality of life. At the same time, as the demand for electricity is rising, we're also facing environmental challenges that runs to the heart of the energy system. For more than 2 centuries, our industrial progress has been based on fossil fuels. Fossil fuels that has brought us light and heat. They have powered the advances that we have made today's modern world. But we now know that the pollution of these fossil fuels threatens the foundation of the society they support, and also they are having limited diversity of supply and puts our global political stability in jeopardy. If we are to retain a world that will allow our continued social and economic development, then we must move beyond our current fossil fuel dependence. And nuclear energy has been the basis of reliable, affordable, and clean electricity supply since its start for more than 60 years ago, as Mr. Kirienka just mentioned for us. Today, it supplies more than around 11% of the world's electricity. Its combination and contribution outperforms that made by many of the emerging renewable technologies. Nuclear is clearly an important part of the solution to our future energy needs. Nuclear energy is in a period of new growth. More than 60 reactors are currently under construction around the world. The International Energy Agency projects that by 2050, and the only climate change scenario they have made, it's called the 2-degree scenario, nuclear has to become 18% of the electricity portfolio by 2050. That means it has to more than double from today. And yet, in some markets, the prospects for new nuclear generation are unclear. Ill-advised, politically motivated opposition constrains the ability to choose nuclear energy in some countries. In other markets, deregulation has created an investment environment that hampers development of the best long-term generation options, including capital-intensive projects like nuclear power. So we have a malfunctioning, deregulated market. How do we overcome these challenges and ensure that nuclear energy plays its rightful role in supporting global, regional, and local social and economical development? Today, I'm joined by 9 leaders from industry and government to discuss these issues. So each of the leaders here, I will say the name, and maybe if you stand up so we can, so also in the back, you just stand up when I say your names. So this will go again very fast. Of course, we have the General Director of Rosatom, so that's already clear. The Minister of Infrastructure and Spatial Planning of Argentina, Mr. Vido. The Chief Executive Officer of Areva, Mr. Nochen. We have Chairman of WANO, Mr. Rigaldo. We have the President of JIVE, Takuyo Hattori. have the Secretary General of the Government of Hungary, Mr. Asudi. We have the Deputy Director General of IAEA, Mr. Chudakov. We have member of the Board of Directors of Akuyu Nuclear AS, Mr. Proglio. And we have the President of Centros, Dan Poneman. And you might think this is all, and of course it's not. Of course we have the whole audience, but we have also a special row in the front, and also maybe you could quickly stand up while I introduce you. We have the Chairman of the Energy and Climate Change Committee of the Parliament of UK, Mr. Joe. We have the Chairman of the Nuclear Energy Committee of Nigeria, Mr. Saisai. We have the Director of the French Atomic and Alternative Energies Commission, Mr. Behar. And we have we have the Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic, Mr. Sok. And the Director of the OECD NEA, Mr. Cho. And the Deputy Minister of Energy of the Republic of Turkey, Mr. Yamak. The Deputy Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission of Jordan, Mr. Arai. The Chairman of the National Nuclear Energy Agency of Indonesia, Mr. Wisnubroto. And the Federal Union of Energy Intensive Industry, Mr. Rothermel. So now you understand why I ask everybody to only answer in 2 minutes when I give you a question. So this is really tough, but we want everybody to be able to have something to say. So the first question I will ask to everybody in the panel up here. We say that nuclear energy is an impulse for social and economic development. Please tell us from the experience of your country or your company or your organization, what other bonuses in addition to eco-clean and affordable energy can the customer obtain from developing the nuclear energy industry? Name one, the most important in your view. So, who is prepared to start? What about Philip?
Okay, thank you, Agneta. Indeed, nuclear is clean, is competitive. Our duty is to make it safe first, and then, when it's safe, it does bring social and economic benefits. The first one is the stability of electricity price, which does have an influence on the stability of the social relations. That's the first benefit, it's well known. The second one is linked with a balance of trade and somehow to the mutual dependence that Mr. Kirienko referred to. It is a mean of mutual interdependence. Nuclear does not go only one way, it goes a lot of ways. That's the second benefit. But the third one, and you asked for an example, it goes to the local communities. Our plant in La Hague represents 6,000 direct jobs, 40 million of yearly taxes. That's just recurring local job, much more than any with any imported fuel. But then goes with new builds, a totally over magnitude of these aspects. A project such as Hinkley Point, second example, led by EDF, is not only 900 jobs over a 60 years lifetime of a reactor, and you would have to multiply it by the 400 reactors around the world, but it is more than 100 million pounds of economic impact every year during construction. And it is 25,000 jobs in the factories, in the engineering, in the supply chain, and on site during construction. So nuclear has a major social economic benefit where it is producing electricity. That's for my 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noche, keeping to the time. And I'd like to now start to give the same question to Mr. Regaldo.
Thank you, Agneta. Obviously, nuclear is a clean source of energy. Sometimes we hear people opposing nuclear to renewables. I don't think we should oppose them. They can be quite complementary because both of them can ensure carbon-free and environmental friendly energies. Nuclear is mainly in competition with fossil generation and not with renewables. And another advantage, of course, of nuclear energy is that it can generate cheap and at a large scale nuclear electricity. And that's the reason why we hear about potential newcomers as Vietnam, Bangladesh, Jordan, Kenya, because it is a larger possible access to electricity for the populations, and thus new chances for a better life. But of course, representing the operators and the World Association of Nuclear Operators, there was condition for that, and this condition is nuclear safety in operation. And it is one very important condition if we want to guarantee reliability throughout the years, and if we want to guarantee a high level of acceptation by the population. So obviously it is a cheap and widely available energy at one condition, and it is our day-to-day work as nuclear operators to guarantee the highest level of nuclear safety.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to ask Mr. Vido, please.
Buenos días a todos y a todas, y especialmente al señor Kirienko, que si bien nos considera no huésped, pero es el anfitrión y hemos sido muy bien recibidos en Moscú, a todos los colegas del panel y por supuesto a la moderadora, a la directora general de la Asociación Nuclear Mundial, Agneta Ricci, gracias. Argentina es el primer país de Latinoamérica en instalar una central nuclear en 1974. Hoy tenemos 3 centrales en funcionamiento, otra se inauguró en 1984 y la última en el año 2015, a principios de este año, quedó habilitada. Consideramos la energía nuclear una energía tecnológicamente limpia y fundamentalmente barata, accesible y centralmente generadora de un proceso de desarrollo tecnológico auténtico, genuino para los países en vías de desarrollo. Para la Argentina también la cuestión nuclear está fuertemente asociada a la medicina nuclear. Los tipos de terapias alternativas que se generan a partir de los distintos elementos y desarrollos tecnológicos que permiten atender los distintos tipos de tumores, de cáncer. Somos uno de los principales productores mundiales de molibdeno 99, el 5% del molibdeno 99 que se fabrica en el mundo se hace en la Argentina. Consideramos que una central nuclear no es solamente una fábrica de energía, sino es una madre de industrias, una de las principales industrias en la Argentina vinculadas al sector nuclear, la empresa INVAP acaba de diseñar y proyectar y poner en órbita en octubre del año pasado un satélite geoestacionario. Quiere decir que a partir del desafío que encarara el presidente Perón en el año 50, cuando crea la Comisión Nacional de Energía Atómica, desafío renovado por los presidentes Kirchner y Cristina Kirchner, la actual presidenta argentina, Argentina ha descollado en determinados niveles tecnológicos de la mano del sector nuclear. En el año 2003, cuando asumimos el gobierno, solamente el 5% de la energía eléctrica que generaba en la Argentina provenía del sector nuclear. Hoy estamos llegando casi al 9% y, como decían quienes me antecedieron en el uso de la palabra, a un costo diferente y fundamentalmente con un resultado ecológico distinto. En el curso, para terminar, en el curso de los últimos 10 meses hemos firmado importantes convenios estratégicos con la Federación Rusa y con la República Popular China, que nos llevarán a la construcción de 3 nuevas centrales por casi 2.700 megavatios más. Actualmente hay 1.700 instalados en materia nuclear, en el marco de acuerdos estratégicos que firmó mi país con dichos países, el eje de absoluta multilateralidad que plantea la Argentina en su relacionamiento con el mundo. Le agradezco la posibilidad de participar. Muchas gracias.
Many thanks, Mr. Vito. And now I'd like to go to Mr. Chudakov, please.
A month ago, approximately, conducted the third conference on nuclear power in Africa, where we had more than 32 countries participated. And many of them, on the level of the Ministry of Energy, Deputy Minister of Energy, showed a great interest in implementing nuclear power in their energy mix. Why they are doing and thinking about it? Because of more than 600 million people in Africa living without access to electricity at all. This is very important for them, first. Secondly, many their traditional resources is coming to the end, water resources and also coal resources, and they understand that in several decades this energy will be exhausted, and also with great influence, negative influence on the environmental. And even taking into account the recent diseases as Ebola in Western countries in Africa, we can see that in spite of the international assistance sending a lot of medicine and hospitals, sometimes many of these hospitals can be put in operation because of the limit of electricity access. That's why the most important, I think, for these countries, this is independence and also independence of nuclear form of energy, and this is the security of energy, and nuclear power is given this for the future, the long sustainability and long independable nuclear power and access to electricity to many people in these kind of countries. That's why I am conducting this year 3 near missions in Africa, in Nigeria, in Morocco, and in Kenya. And in each year we are conducting more and more missions in order to prepare these countries to create the necessary infrastructure in order to operate nuclear power, future nuclear power on a safe and reliable style. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chudakov. So I'd like now to invite Mr. Coglio. If you'd like to make your comments, please.
Yes, with pleasure. It was said several times along the last speeches, nuclear energy is a key driver in many aspects of development of most of the countries. First of all, in environment and climate change effects, which is of some importance today. The second driver is competitiveness over long term and visibility of energy prices. There is no cheap energy. It's more or less an affordable energy. And clearly, nuclear is part of the competitiveness of the countries that develop this kind of energy. It has a significant impact on the customers and on the development of industrial companies in each and every country. The third driver is industrial development and jobs creation, in particular high-level jobs. In such countries as France, for instance, direct impact of nuclear in jobs creation is about 250,000 jobs dedicated to the industry, the specific nuclear industry, and related to in the same number in subcontractors, 200,000 jobs, plus 400,000 jobs to attract industrial companies on the country because of the competitivity of energy. So it's altogether a very significant factor of industrial development and job creation. And last but not least, national independence in terms of energy that plays a significant role in any political aspect of the development of each and every country. These are the major drivers that nuclear energy represents for the countries. France, of course, which created a significant first platform since years, and all the countries that are developing nuclear in the world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pozzo. I'd now like to turn to Hungary, to Mr. Azudi.
Thank you very much. So you have to understand, in Hungary, nuclear plays a very important role. More than 1/3 of our electricity comes from nuclear energy, and we want to keep this share for the next decades until the end of this century. So we are now working on the replacement of old capacities with new units, and we think this is important because nuclear energy is safe, clean, and cost effective. This is the most important factor. So if we ask the people living in Hungary, they are motivated to use nuclear energy because it is safe, clean, and cheap source of electricity. The second factor is that nuclear is reliable. So we can rely on the base load nuclear energy, which is not the case for many other electricity sources. So it is maybe discussed in many times in the news, but even in Germany there is no sunshine in the night, and we need electricity during the nights as well. So I think the base load electricity source is the key element of the electricity system, and therefore we need nuclear energy for the long future. The third factor what I want to mention is development for a whole region. So construction and operation of a power plant is not only important only for a company or for a city, but it is the possibility for development for a whole region or even for a country. So we think this project is key from that point of view as well. The fourth factor what I want to mention is the production of electricity inside the country with limited own resources. So we can import nuclear fuel, store for many years, and produce electricity inside the country, which gives much bigger security of supply. And the last factor is localization. So by the construction of these 2 new units on the Park side, we assume 40% localization, involvement of the Hungarian industry, which will create a lot of workplaces and really development for the whole country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Azuri. Thank you very much for your remarks. I now like to turn to Japan. Hattori-san, please.
Thank you, Agneta. To respond to your questions, it's better to talk about the Japanese energy policy. Japanese energy policy is to keep the S plus 3E. 3E means for the energy security and environment conservation and economically competitive with on the premise of safety. We call this as S plus 3E. This is coming from the uniqueness of Japan's situation. You know, Japan is a very small island country, physically isolated, and we have no indigenous energy resources. And also, we have no pipeline and transmission line connected with neighboring countries. This is very unique situation. Considering this situation, the energy security of supply is the first priority. The nuclear is a very important role in the energy mix in the future, and based on the viewpoint of the security of supply. That is a basic policy. Even though we experienced very disastrous Fukushima accident, we will overcome the current situation, and we will keep the nuclear technology for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hattori. And now I'd like to turn to US and Mr. Perlman.
Thank you, Agneta, and may I first thank Mr. Kirienko and Rosanna for hosting this very, very impressive conference and for his opening remarks and, as always, impeccable hospitality. And to you, Agneta, for posing a sharp question and keeping us disciplined. I think everyone here knows that in the United States, where we have an operating fleet of about 100 reactors, we still get about 1/5 of all of our power from nuclear energy. And that accounts for over 60% of our carbon-free energy. So I will simply associate myself, without repeating the comments of my colleagues about the importance in that regard. I do think, especially having just heard from Hattori-san, it's important to note that the emphasis my colleagues have placed on safety is not only critical, but I think this panel represents one of the unique aspects of nuclear safety, which is the close international collaboration, without question. And I will recall very, very clearly the first hours after March 11th, 2011, when we were communicating, Mr. Kirienko and I were communicating with Mr. Bigot in France at the time, and all of us worked together in support of the IAEA, and all of us working together supported the incredibly important work of the World Association of Nuclear Operators, and only through that level of collaboration will we succeed. Now, to answer your question, the single aspect I'm selecting, in addition to these other factors, is the reliability. And Agneta, you asked for a specific example, so here it is. Last year we had in the United States a polar vortex. Unexpected, deep, deep, frigid cold penetrating deep into the United States, affecting power supplies in many, many states. Coal piles were freezing. Diesel generators had oil freezing in the pipes. Natural gas prices spiked. Propane gas prices spiked, sometimes 300%. So it was both an energy security and an economically burdensome time. Nuclear power saved the day. Availability remained 95% for nuclear power. That's something that you cannot get with all of the other forms of energy, all of which we do need. But The reliability of nuclear power is something that is always going to save us in providing important base load to keep us safe, warm, dry, and able to do our job. And yet, if I may close in tying it back to your remarks, that quality is not always recognized in deregulated markets. And we need to think through a way, and there are people in the United States, I may note, Chris Crane, the Nuclear Energy Institute, who are trying to make sure that we design our systems so that our independent systems operators can recognize the value that reliability brings to the grid, brings to electricity users all over the country. You can do it through capacity payments, you can do it through carbon credits, but somehow we need to find a way to capture the importance of reliability and to acknowledge and to reward it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And you brought up very important tasks for the nuclear sector, for the nuclear industry, all of you, the values that nuclear brings, as well as the challenges we have ahead of us. And also, when we come together, we like to talk about the future. We like to talk about all our opportunities, our strengths, and our weaknesses, of course. And there are many organizations who are looking to where is nuclear energy going. There are, in recent years, we have forecasts on the development of nuclear energy, and they are based on different scenarios, and there are different numbers. And we have, for instance, if we look to some of the low scenarios, so very pessimistic scenarios, and some of the positive ones, there's more than 100 gigawatt of difference and in the total capacity. And of course, we also see that when it's low, it is because of the nuclear sector, the nuclear energy industry is very dependent on a lot of factors around us. And it's like financial stability, markets, deregulated markets, absence of serious incidents, and lots of other factors. And the tasks of several international organizations is to see to where are these projections going. And the World Nuclear Association are making a market report every second year where we look to how we see from a bottom-up perspective, from the industry, from the members, where is the projections for the future. I don't know if we have the possibility to see the projections on the screens, if there is a possibility to see that. Maybe not. Okay. And also we have projections from the IAEA, and there is also projections from the OECD, NEA. And when we look at the World Nuclear Association projections, our reference scenario is almost in line with the other scenarios if we look to the when things are going quite good. And now I'd like to ask Mr. Churakov to explain a little bit of the IAEA scenarios, please.
Thank you. Maybe you know that IAEA conduct every year projection of the global power generation capacity, nuclear power generation capacity every year up to the 2030. And we have the number for the last year, and we can see that the nuclear power continues to grow by 2030. In spite of that, the spectrum of this projection is widespread. It's from 8% till 88%. Anyway, it shows that it's continued to grow. It's continued to grow. Why is the spectrum so wide? That because of the many inputs included there, and we knew a special methodology in order to make the correct projection. There are hundreds and maybe 1,000 inputs from every country and from the all areas of activity of the country. And that's why this is so widespread. But anyway, it showed that it's continued to grow. These figures have been declined a little bit since Fukushima, reflecting three main reasons: the continued impact on Fukushima Daiichi accident, the low price of natural gas and oil, so that's what we can see now, and the increasing use of renewable energy. But anyway, the main idea is that Fukushima slowed growth, but not reversed it. So nuclear power is many countries for the future can see the nuclear power as a main input in their energy mix. Thanks.
Many thanks for that. It's really great to see. And now I'd like to have also the comment from OECD NEA on your projections. You will get a microphone from the girl just behind you. And could you please comment also on your projections?
NEA and IEA, OECD, IEA, International Energy Agency, together we published the nuclear energy roadmap this year, and we projected like in 2010, we projected the nuclear energy will be about 1,200 gigawatt by 2050. But after Fukushima accident and the world energy crisis, it is reduced to expect 930 gigawatt, which occupies about 17% of the world energy, nuclear electricity energy. But this is still like 2.3 times of the current capacity. So it is really formidable or challenging. How to project is a little bit different from the other organization. OECD, NEA, and with the IAEA, we are targeting goal 2-degree scenario. We are targeting a goal to meet 2 degree by 2050. Then our data is coming out of such goal. So it is a little bit different from searching from bottom to top, rather than this is a kind of top to bottom requirement to meet our 2-degree scenario. So it will be, if we don't have this kind of nuclear energy in the future, we will not meet our climate change goal. So this is a message from our study.
Thank you very much. That's extremely important to hear, that the demand for nuclear energy in the world, whatever we look at, however we look at it, the demand is growing. And as I also said in my opening remarks in the ATOMEXPO out there, is that the nuclear industry is really growing, but it's not growing fast enough, and that's what we hear now from you as well. It's not growing fast enough. I have one question that is for each one of the persons in the panel, as well as each one of the experts. But you will all get this question, and I will ask you later. So you can maybe write down in front of you. These are projections based on how the circumstances are, but where would you like to go? What should you think should be the target for the electricity share of the world nuclear, of the whole world electricity portfolio? How much nuclear should there be in the portfolio 2050? As we say, today it's 11%. Like 12 years ago, it was 17%. The NEA and IEA says it should be 18% to manage the climate change. So where should we be 2050? If you can vote, put it down in front of you. 11% as it is today, the share in the future. Should it be 18% as in the NEA? Should there be stronger ambitions from the nuclear sector? Should it be 25%? Should it be 33%? Or should it maybe in 2050 be that half the electricity comes from nuclear, 50%? I will ask you later which is your number, your favorite number, which should be the target for what we should work with. Now, I like to go forward here, and I have based on all these projections, and also maybe your wishes to the target for the nuclear energy in the future, that is really a tall order. It's a very big thing the nuclear sector has to do. We have to work together. Is it possible to perform this? And there's many circumstances around the nuclear energy and the nuclear industry. Is there a place for cooperation among the major vendors, for instance? Rosatom, having one of the largest portfolios in the world, offers its assistance. And now the question is for Mr. Noche. To what extent is Areva open to such proposals for cooperation?
Thank you. Indeed, we are pretty much open, as we proved in the past. We have not only had partnerships with utilities, customers, such as EDF, developing now the evolution of the EPR, but also among vendors. I'm really deeply convinced that interdependency is key for our industry. So we have cooperation in reactors with MHI for ATMEA, MHI of Japan, but not only in the fuel cycle also. We have this technology partnership with Urenco on enrichment, and in the decommissioning with Mace and Atkins for Magnox waste in UK. So competitors and partners are, I think, something of the future of the nuclear industry. As we are here in Moscow, I will also mention important partnerships with Mr. Kirienko's organization, with Rosatom, as we have been cooperating over recycling uranium for many years, and we provided a technology for defluorination in the Zelenogorsk plant. So really, we are open to this collaboration. An additional new aspect, maybe, of a recent evolution is that this cooperation among vendors has to be ready to be adapted to customers, whether they are new entrants or from a long history of nuclear. The needs are really diverse. There are different technical needs, supply chain needs, training needs. And we, as an industry, as partners and competitors, need to be in a position to elaborate a different solution for every country. And as an example, our INC solution has been delivered in 16 different countries with totally different designs, from our own reactors design to competitors' designs. So really this flexibility, this agility of the industry to adapt to customer needs finds a strong source in the collaboration between competitors indeed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noche. Thank you. Mr. Guido, a very short comment to that, please. Very short, yeah.
Va a ser muy breve. Evidentemente, la relación de costo-oportunidad para el avance de la construcción del sector nuclear va a estar íntimamente relacionado como energía de base que es con relación al precio del barril de petróleo. Nadie puede ignorar que el barril de petróleo a $60 es un valor político, como también lo fue cuando era $200 su valor. Evidentemente, la decisión de construir y de avanzar en el sector nuclear